Roster Mania is officially here, and these are, I believe, the 7 rosters we have so far. I'm going to go through and rank them. I actually messed up. It's not G2, it's actually Gentlemates. So please ignore this. It's actually Gentlemates to have this team, not G2. But Cloud9, Ravens, Breach, and Surge, we haven't really heard too much from right now. They're probably going to be the best of the rest rosters. So right now we have Heretics, Thieves, Koi, Falcons, FaZe, and Optic. Let's go through and rank them. If you guys saw the earlier video, we just played some pubs in the background while we go through and I'm just going to give a quick discussion of each roster and give you guys an update on what I think of the team. So starting off with the top left is going to be Miami Heretics. Miami Heretics so far have Rencor, Super, and Metals. They've actually lost Riao in the process. He's going to Koi. I think with Miami right now, we haven't got an official fourth, but I'm going to go through the route that they could take. They have a very good core here. To be honest with you, if you were a Miami fan, you're probably looking at this roster to either run it back from last season, or maybe we upgrade Metals for somebody a little bit more consistent. Even though you had a great end to the season, you know, we have the opportunity to upgrade. Maybe that's where we take it. But besides that, I don't really think there was a lot to change for this roster because they played so well. They were getting more teamwork. They had their Spanish route, and I actually think as an EU team and just representation, they did a really good job, and I was actually very happy with how they played. I just think they did a really good job. So it's kind of sad to see the roster break up, but if you guys see on Twitter and stuff, there is a lot of kind of beef with the org and maybe Riao and the players and stuff. So I do think that there is a little bit of a bad tension. You even see Rencor kind of I think he tweeted like a SpongeBob emoji. Oh no, he tweeted something and then Riao kind of replied with like a SpongeBob gif of like a jail cell and stuff. So there could be a little bit of tension where the players are locked at the team and they don't really want to be here. So to be honest, this could be a situation where after this year the roster is blown up and like Riao and Rencor goes somewhere else and stuff like that. So you know that's definitely a possibility. But for this season, Rencor was super good last year. I expect him to keep on that form. I think Super was super well as well. He played really good. Riao played super well. He's obviously not there anymore. So I think this roster's got potential. Now, what do we do here? If I am this team, I am looking at someone like Snoopy, to be honest with you. And this is, again, a change that people may not agree with. It's a bit of a similar situation. But I'm looking at Riao and saying, you know what? We lost a very aggressive SMG, very mechanically well, really smart player, put pacing on the map. And I think we simply just have to try our best to replicate that formula and just keep on working on our intangibles. I think so many people look at rosters like it has to be an upgrade, has to be a roster change. But to be honest, bro, the way I look at it, chat, these guys look at EWC. They finished, I believe, 4th, but they were seconds away from beating Optic. Seconds. And knocking out Optic. And if they knocked out Optic, they are more than likely going to be... I think I backed them over Surge. They looked really good, chat. In Champs, they lost 2 round 11s. So they are a team that were seconds away from, you know, beating Optic at EWC and also advancing in Champs. It's not like they got slammed. They lost 2 round 11s. And in Call of Duty, bro, those micro things, they happen, man. So I look at that roster like, just because you lose, it doesn't always mean a roster change. You know what I'm saying, chat? So I actually look at that team like, I think if they can, their best thing here is to keep the piece of the puzzle. Obviously, losing Riao was absolutely awful because he's such a good player for them. But just try their best to get a replacement. And I think someone like Snoopy has very good mechanical skills. He developed more this year. And I think they could low-key go for that duo. I think they could low-key go for that. Now, where I think they could also upgrade is, again, I think Metals had a really good end to the year, chat. He had a really good end to the year. But are we looking at this like, oh, that was enough to keep his spot? It depends who you're looking at, who you're getting. So if there's a world where they can get Snoopy and Purge, the SMG duo, I then think this is a very good team. Because if you look at Boston, Cammy and Awakening had, I would say, the most inconsistencies. Like the AR consistencies wasn't there for Boston. But there were times, even at Champs, they finished like 3rd or 4th, I can't remember, but they did good at Champs. They have kind of those moments, you know, and I think Snoopy and Purge were a very good SMG duo. So if we pair up this AR duo with that SMG duo, I think it could really be a top 6 roster with the potential to compete. I really do, because I think that Purge is a very smart player. I think that Snoopy is very good mechanically. I think the AR duo of Super and Rencor is such an attractive offer for any team. I think they have really good pieces. It may not look on paper like as good as the Optic and the Thieves and stuff, but you know, there's not going to be many teams that get to look that good. And no one really thought Heretics would be that good at the start of the year. They brought in these players no one really knew about, and they were competing all year long. So it's not always how it looks on paper, it's how the team plays overall, in my opinion. So that's kind of my point on them. Then we go over to the next roster, Optic Texas. Optic obviously have not changed anything. So wait, I'm going to rank this so far, this Heretics roster. I think if they get Snoopy for Real, I think it's very much what they had last year with maybe an adjustment curve. I'm going to give them a maybe like a B minus as an overall roster. I think they'll be around the B level. To be honest, they're probably not quite A. They'll probably be around the B level with the potential to play at A and S at times, but I'm going to give them overall B because they haven't upgraded from last year. They've probably just gone very linear, you know, or maybe even backwards at the start until they, you know, get used to it. But the point is, I don't think they're upgrading, so I'm going to have to give them a B overall. Still a good roster. I'll give them a B, and I think they have the potential as well. Like I said, Raincore Super, getting more time in the league, more experience. Metals finding his form. They still can play well. I'm just going to give them a B overall. And I think as a roster mania, it probably wasn't a good roster mania because they literally have the same team, maybe just replacing one sub for another. There was no upgrades, you know, so I guess I'll give him a B for overall the roster and the roster mania. It depends who they get as well. If they get Purge and Snoopy and they kind of bring that duo in, I'll give it like a B plus, just because I think that'd be kind of cool to see. And I think, yeah, I'll give them a B plus. For now, I'll give them a B because we don't know who they're picking up, because they could pick up anyone and we don't really know right now. Optic Texas, they obviously are an S tier team. They won the last two events. They won it in domination fashion as well. They you know, fried FaZe, they fried Thieves, they took out Vancouver twice, they beat Miami, they beat everyone. They didn't actually lose a series, which is insane. And they're obviously riding their high, and they look like the team to beat, bro. They look like the team to beat. Everyone else is building around to beat them. So the advantage they have is obviously they have that pre-built chemistry going into the next season, and just like starting off the season with a target on their back, but having that kind of, what would I say, just that team synergy already is a big advantage, you know. Yes, the target in the back can put that pressure on them, but to be honest with you, I don't think it changes much. I really don't think it changes much in terms of pressure. These guys are Optic Texas. It's not like they didn't have pressure as it is to win. It's not like, oh, now that other teams have changed, there's more pressure. Bro, the pressure's the same, you know what I'm saying? So I think they're going to be good, bro. I'm going to give them S tier just because of obviously the end of the season, what we saw. They were only an S tier team from what we saw, and we have to, you know, assume they're going to carry on that trend, man. I'm an Optic fan, so obviously I want them to play well, but even if I wasn't an Optic fan, I would still rate this team S tier just because of what they did. So they're going to get an S tier rating. Obviously they're going to stick together. No one in the last 2 years has won champs in EWC. Last year champs was Optic as well. They lost EWC. FaZe won EWC and stuck together, but everyone knew it kind of looked like they were kind of got super glue over their team with the EWC win, where in this scenario, this is like, this was their new roster, you know what I'm saying? Getting Merc at the end of the year, and from them they were just S tier. And the thing is, it wasn't even just that they won champs. People gotta remember, chat, when Merc joined, these guys were actually behind. They were still behind Thieves, they were behind Optic, sorry, Toronto and FaZe. They were behind, and when they played Major 4 and they finished 4th, I looked at that as like a really good progress. I'll give you a perfect example, chat. So football, the Premier League season started as well. I'm a Manchester United fan, and we're super behind right now, right? We're so behind. And in this situation, if we finish like 6th this season, right, or let's say 5th, if we get Champions League and finish 5th, I'll be so happy. Obviously, Liverpool won the league, so they're looking to, you know, replicate that form. Arsenal trying to get first. So you have to look at it where you are. If we don't win the league and we finish 5th, I'm not going to look at that as a disappointing season. You have to look at your, you know, your where you are and where you're going. So with Optic, for example, when they finished 4th, I thought that was really good for them considering where they were, and then they were able to just up that another level and overtake the rest of the teams. So I think they played really well, and I think they just did a great job. So I'm gonna give them an S tier. Then we go to Thieves. I love the route Thieves are taking here. I think if a BZ is a free agent, you literally have to go for him. You have to go for him. And I really like it. And then you have that last player to kind of go around, and this is where, again, I think they say, you're right, we have enough slaying ability, we have enough kills, we just need a leader, we need someone to kind of bridge the gap here. I look at this in a very similar way that I looked at Pred, Shotzi, and Dashi. You know what I'm saying? Very similar. 3 talented slayers. We just need someone to kind of bridge the gap, be that smart guy, be that IGL, kind of fill in where he needs to. And who do we bring in? Bring in that boy Kenny. Very, very similar to Optic's roster that won champs last year in Modern Warfare 3. Very, very similar in my opinion. You have 2 great, very, 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 very skilled SMG players. You have one of the best ARs in the game, just kind of doing his thing. And then you have that boy Kenny. I think it's very similar. He's back on Thieves, where he was, you know, he spent his probably most dominating time of his career, where he was won champs with them as well. He's won events. So yeah, I think they'll be very good. I'm going to give them an S tier, to be honest with you. I really like this roster. I'm going to give them an S tier. So S, B to B plus. I'll give them an S tier. FaZe, I'm going to give an A, but I think they could play S as well. The only reason I'm giving FaZe an A The only issue I would have is the pacing, but I'm very, very, very certain they're going to have that fixed. But it's a very smart team, very smart team. They're going to be very, very ratty at search and destroy, very good at search. They're probably the best S&D team in the game, if Optic don't have the form that they did. But like, I can see FaZe overall being one of the best S&D teams in the game. They look super good. I'm going to give them an A+. I'm going to give them an A+, not quite S tier, but A+. That doesn't mean they're not as good. It just means on paper and like, you know, project, I would say Thieves roster, I back a bit more. But it's just one of those, chat, as well, where like logically we've seen more from the Thieves roster individually over the years. And 04 and Abuz have just joined the league recently. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those where we've just seen more over the years. So it's nothing against 04 and Abuza. It's just the fact that I think out of the two rosters, whoever's more ready-made is probably Thieves. But FaZe, can they win events next year? Absolutely. Like, I think people are kind of underestimating this roster. I'm not putting them S, putting them A+. That doesn't mean I don't think the roster's good. I actually like the composition. I think, and this is a point Methods has mentioned quite a few times on stream, and I completely agree. Whatever roster FaZe were going to get would seem like a downgrade on paper, because they had basically a dynasty trio that was, you couldn't really upgrade on paper unless you're getting for like Hydra, Scrap, Shotzzy, Dashy. You know what I'm saying? There's only like 4 players that would count as a linear move on paper. So 04 and Abuza for MC and Abizi on paper would look like a downgrade just because of the players you're replacing. Like, you're replacing Abizi, bro. There's not many players, if any, that would count as an upgrade on Abizi. So it's nothing against 04, nothing against Abuza. However, I just think a fresh start. I think a change of change of personality over that many years, change of ideas, the things they're going to bring to the game. You look at Vancouver, they went to 4 finals. So, you know, I think they're going to bring that experience, bring that kind of grind and the way they played the game and the smarts into this roster, where you have 2 winners already in Draws and Simp that have got unbelievable experience of winning, and they're going to bring that together, and I think we have a very scary roster. So I think it's a very good roster. I'll give it an A+. Then we have the Koi trio right now, so we don't know the 4th. I believe it's going to be Nasty, but we don't know right now, so I'm going to assume it's Nasty. But let's go through what we know. We're going to have Koi is going to be Riao and Joe on the subs, Kleenex are the flex. They dropped Insight for another player, and I'm assuming it's going to be Nasty. Bro, when I say this team, I really like it. I really like this team, especially with the way Black Ops 6 was playing. Black Ops 7 is more than likely going to be similar, and you're just going to have like very, very much fast-paced game style, very much teamwork, just banging things out. They basically get Joe with an absolute demon in Riao. So that SMG duo is super good. Joe turned into one of the best players in the game last year. He's developed into that guy. He's got that confidence. He's going to keep on that form. Kleenex is him. Kleenex is a flex player. I think is absolutely fine, because the flexes nowadays are just those guys that you want your demons on them. I specified earlier, but you want your flex to be that guy that can kind of do everything, bro. And I think Kleenex, the amount of years he's been in the league, the experience he's got, this will be the first time not playing with Insight, which would be pretty weird, but I think this is where he steps up, and I think they win some championships this year if they can play to their form. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give this team, it depends on their 4th. I want to give it an A++, if that's a thing. I think this roster for me is 3rd. I don't know if I could put it S tier. I think S tier I'm going to keep Optic and Thieves. A+ I'm going to give FaZe. I think these guys will go in the A+ category just over FaZe. So for me, they're in the A tier, but the very high version of the A tier. I have a lot of hope for this team. I think it's a very good team. Very good team. Then we go over to the Falcons. We have Pred, Celium, Exnid, and Kismet. I think I just had a whole video on this roster. So I'm not going to really go too much into it. You guys can check out that video. Literally, it was earlier today, like a few hours ago. I literally recorded it 10 minutes ago. It's probably uploaded a few hours ago at this point. I would say that I'm going to give this roster a B tier. It's not A tier in my opinion. It has the potential to get A tier. Again, for me, Exnid is not a bad player. It's just that I think if we're going for the A tier and the S tier and stuff, he's not that level yet. But I'm excited to see the development. So I'm going to give them a B tier, and I'm going to kind of wait and see their development. It's not that I don't think that they can play well. It's just the other teams I would say that I've mentioned already. Out of all those teams, I think Falcons is the weakest. I don't think they're as good as Koi or FaZe. Obviously, if that's the case, they're not as good as Thieves and Optic. So I'm going to have to give them a B tier because I don't think they're on the same level of Koi as FaZe. So logically, they have to be B tier. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give them a B tier for me. And yeah, leave it at that. I'll probably give them a B. To be fair, if I give Heretics a B, I still think Heretics is slightly better than this team. This team right now, the only struggle I had was just like, one, the comm issues, with the MC and XNID, everyone's been mentioning that, and I think it's a valid point. Also, the pacing of the team, Cell and MC can both be quite slow players. So I do think Kismet is a really good addition to fix that pacing, but I don't want the pacing to be a massive issue. And I think pacing is one of the biggest things in the game. That's why if you look at Toronto, they just have a run it down team. And you know what I'm saying? I think that's very important for the type of games you're playing. So I'm a little bit skeptical if this team will perform well. I think individually, again, good players. You just can they piece it together? There's a few more questions there. Every team I mentioned will obviously have a chance to piece it together because they're all professional Call of Duty players, but some of them just won't, and that's just a part of the game. So I don't know if they will, to be honest with you, and that's why I'm kind of holding my reservation, because there's a chance that they don't. They replace XNID, and the reason I'm saying XNID, chat, is because the other players are more than likely staying on the roster unless they have a really bad stint. But I think XNID's going to be that player that if it doesn't go well, it'll probably fall on him, unfortunately for him, just because of the credibility the other players have in the league already. All already won before, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're all three of these are world champs. They all have won in the past, multiple events. So it's just one of those where XNID will be the odd man standing. They're giving him a chance, and it might come to that point. So I'm gonna give him a B-. I don't think C. C's a bit harsh. I'll give him a B-. And then we have our last roster that's officially kind of not confirmed, but been rumored to have a full roster. G2. Envoy, Neptune, Ghosty, and Sib. So the way I look at this roster is you essentially have the same roster you had on Thieves. So you have Ghosty and Envoy. You replace Hydra for Nep. Now, to be honest with you, I'm not going to discredit Nep here. I would say season-wise, he had a very similar season to Hydra. Hydra was probably the best sub, but Neptune was still up there. So you're not really getting a downgrade here. What you are getting, though, is there's always a risk. Whenever a player has like a season like that, is can they replicate it? That's one thing with someone like a Hydra or a Shotzi or a Scrap or Simp, because they've not only had like a godlike season, they've or Dashi, all these players, they've replicated it for years. That's when you know they're a superstar player, they're an S-tier player. You know what I'm saying? With someone like Neptune, he had an S-tier season, a really good season, but now it's about can he actually replicate that? We don't know yet. Now I think he will, but you never know, so you can't say for sure. Of course, with any player, you can always, like, you're never going to be able to know. But I'm going to give you a perfect example, chat. Cammy in Cold War had a godlike season and then kind of just fell off a bit. So there's a chance that Neptune had a godlike season and doesn't play that well. Of course, there's a chance, but you're just kind of having to predict what you think. I don't think that's the case. I think he'll be good, and I think he's chilling, because I think he was so good this year. So I'm going to give them a linear move there. I don't think they're losing out from Hydra to Neptune that much because of how good Neptune is as well. But obviously Hydra as a like S-tier SMG, you're never gonna upgrade on him, you're just gonna go linear. So it's a slight downgrade, but not by a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of my take on that. Very slight downgrade on Hydra to Neptune, just on paper. But again, there's so many different things like play styles, communication, just the way they're approaching the game systems, whatever it may be. So there's a lot of variables. We're not just looking player for player. And then you have Scrap for Sib. I would say Sib has the potential to be a very good player. He just hasn't put it together to like a Scrap yet. Scrap is like Sib's best version, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think Sib has the consistency that Scrap has, but he's a very good player. He has a very high potential, and I really like him as well, so I'm hoping he gets there. So on paper, I would say this is a downgrade of Thieves last year. Just a very simple way of putting it. Sib is like a downgrade on Scrap, and Neptune is a downgrade on Hydra. Not by a lot, but just by a bit, you know what I'm saying? So on paper, it's not as good as Thieves. However, it's not always about on paper, okay? Because for example, Sib and Ghost, and they are duo. I think the pacing works really well. They could have different skills that complement each other. So I don't look at that like, oh, it's a downgrade, they're not going to be good. I look at this as a good roster. I'll probably put it with FaZe and Koi. I think it's a good roster. I probably put this a little bit. No, I'll put this a bit. Yeah, I'll put it with FaZe and Koi and G2. Let me make a quick little. What I'm gonna do is just a little tier list from right here, just to make this easy from what we have. Okay. So what I said was Heretics. I'm gonna put maybe. Why can't I drop them? Oh, is it? Okay, I'm so confused. Anyways, Thief I'm gonna put an S. Optic I'm gonna put an S like that. But this website is fucking so good, bro. Whoever made it is an absolute goat. FaZe, G2, Falcons, like that. Low key is disrespectful to keep Heretics here, chat. I'm gonna do it like this. I wish there was an A+. Can I rename this? Can I rename this? Okay, I can't rename it. You know what? Like, from what we have, I kind of think this could be a good way of doing it. Maybe like this. Maybe like this, chat. I think that Koi, I think Optic will be number 1, Thieves could be number 2. I think Koi will be number 3 right now from what I see, low key. I kind of like G2 and FaZe very similar. I don't know, man. I don't know who I put over. I'm gonna leave G2 for now. I don't know if that's. I don't know though. I don't know. I really don't. Chat, it's not G2, it's Gentlemates. Sorry, my bad. My bad. This is Gentlemates. This is Gentlemates. I just messed up. So Gentlemates, FaZe, and then Heretics, and then I'll keep Falcons as B. I think it's okay like that for now. That's obviously what I meant to do is Gentlemates, not G2. That's my apologies. And these 4 we haven't really know what's going on right now. But hey, I guess I'll leave it like that. Hope you guys did enjoy the little tier list, the little updated roster mania. Let me know what you guys think down below. And yeah, I'll catch you guys for another video tomorrow. Peace.